Hey, MzeroA Nation, Jason here. Welcome to my kitchen island. Odd place for a video, but we're talking real world flight planning the rest of this month. And if I can be honest, I either flight plan here at my kitchen island or I flight plan over there sitting on the couch. So you want a real world? We're giving you a real world. This is also where we host in-flight coffee. Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern time live. I make a cup of coffee. I sit in the same spot and we just talk airplanes live on Facebook. So you want to be checking that out too. But that's not my purpose. My purpose today is to share with you real world flight planning. Now, let me tell you what this video is not first. This video is not the detailed all the way down to the top of climb, top of descent on a cross-country nav log like you do in your private pilot days and especially for your check rides. If you need that video, it's in the online ground school. And I literally take an hour and go number by number, decimal by decimal, showing you how to come to every number. What I want to show you here is some, we'll call it abbreviated, slightly abridged version of my flight planning process in the real world. And then next week, you're gonna actually see that flight. So today we're gonna flight plan it together and make a go or no-go decision. And then next week, you're gonna see that actual flight. And it'll be fun to compare how close did I get to my actual plan versus what we said here versus what actually happened. So that'll be really exciting to see and kind of dig into here together. Now let's get started. For starters, I was just looking for a good long cross country. And I was looking both north and south, kind of wondering where I wanted to go. Let me show you how I came to that conclusion here first. I'm gonna leave tomorrow. And again, super flexible, was just kind of debating on the days. We are in hurricane season, everything else as this is being filmed. So I went over here to imagery and I spent time on the prog charts. And I've been doing this. Yes, I'm flying tomorrow. However, I've been doing this all week. And I land here on the prog charts and I was looking at the 3-day and I was looking at the 4-day and kind of planning everything out. So I could kind of see where the weather was going to be best to go, north or south. I was thinking north towards the Atlanta area, south towards Key West. I just wanted a good long trip to be able to film and show you all. Now, obviously in that, we'll cut some things out. Let's go look at the 24-hour, and you can see kind of why I made my decision here. North right now just provides more options. I've got a high pressure over North Carolina, a little bit of a low and a stationary front here. We'll kind of see what happens, but mostly, apparently the rain isn't gonna leave Alabama. It's just gonna stay. It's gonna hit the Georgia line and it's gonna stop, apparently, according to this prog chart. The rain knows to stop before it gets to Georgia. People that live in Georgia will tell you that's not true. It rains all the time in Atlanta. And then south towards the Keys had some rain potential there. So this is 24 hours. Looking ahead to 30 hours, that kind of starts to spread. Looking at the 18 hours, looks pretty decent. That low hasn't formed just yet. So north was my decision. And north, I'm gonna go north. Well, we're gonna do it right. I want to head into, it's probably got to be, if it's not the busiest delta, it's got to be number 2 or at least number 3, which is PDK. Every time I've been into PDK, I'm number 14 for departure, and who knows, this flight plan series could turn into a radio communication series. We'll see when we get to PDK, and then we'll also film, go to a little coffee shop there, flight plan again, and then come back home. So you can see both legs of this because it looks like, honestly, just looking into the future, it looks like it might be fun coming home. Might be mostly IFR home, or might be waiting it out a little bit in PDK as well, based on this. No big deal, because in aviation, you never have to be anywhere. That's how you get yourself hurt if you feel you have to be somewhere. I don't have to be anywhere. We've got virtual meetings. Life is good. We can hang out all the time we need. Let's go to some route selection now. And then I'll do a full brief and everything else and show you that. So I'm using 4Flight. Again, I pay for my 4Flight subscription. There is no sponsorship. It's just who I happen to be using right now. I kind of bounce between all the apps. 4Flight is just what I happen to be using right now. Let's just start with a straight line. Now I kind of mapped this out already, OCF to PDK, and I always start with a straight line. I'm gonna do this flight 2 ways. I'm gonna do a VFR leg and then an IFR leg. So in the video, you get to see both. It'll be a lot of fun. Now, I am really weird, we'll say. Somebody in the comments going, yeah, Jason's really, really weird. But let me explain. I have a weird rule I call the 3-hour rule. And this flight is going to violate the 3-hour rule. Let me show you, and let me show you why. You see at the bottom of my flight plan underneath the 7,000, it says ETE, estimated time en route, 3 hours, 38 minutes. 23 Mike Zulu holds 4 hours, 30 minutes of fuel. I have no doubt in my mind I could go Ocala, PDK, direct, no fuel stop. It's not even a question. I know it could happen. But just because it could happen doesn't mean it should. The same is true. Just because your 172 has 4 seats doesn't mean you should put 4 bottoms in those 4 seats. Does that make sense? I have a weird rule that I hope you'll consider adopting called the 3-hour rule, which says this. The moment I say clear and kick the ignition to start, I start a timer. I better be, when that thing says 2 hours and 59 minutes, I better be taxiing up to the line guy going like this and giving me the big X and shutting down. I realize I have 10 minutes of taxi on either side, so there goes 20 minutes. So at cruise power, there's descent in there too, but there's also a climb. I'm probably only burning, 2.5 hours of fuel using the 3-hour rule because of taxis and run-ups and everything else. But the only time you have too much fuel is when you're on fire. It's the honest truth. So I fly 3-hour legs, and I'm going to divide this flight up. Even though I could make it direct, I'm going to add a fuel stop. It'll be close to Atlanta, and that's fine. But, type in me in the chat if you've ever been to PDK. Say, Jason, I've been to PDK. It's a zoo. Who's ever been to PDK and been like number 10 in the pattern, or on this huge extended downwind? Or maybe it'll be IFR, and I'm going to be told to hold. Or maybe Atlanta is just an absolute zoo. Maybe PDK is closed by the time I get there because of a gear up or something. Who knows? And now my 3 hours and 38 minutes, which I picked up a little more headwind than I thought. Can you see on the iPad? See, it says I'm going to have, that's if I leave right now. We'll figure out what it's going to be for tomorrow. I have 6 knots of a headwind is what it says right now. That's pretty interesting. So I need to note and pay attention to all these things, because a little bit of a headwind can become a lot of a headwind here very, very quickly. So I follow the 3-hour rule. I'm going to plan a stop, and let's see where I'm going to plan my stop. I know I can probably go, I'm going to do more than halfway. So I come into Atlanta with some fuel. I'd imagine, I don't really care a whole lot about fuel prices. Because I'm thankful to have it. So I'm not going to shop cheap fuel prices, but I imagine PDK is probably a little bit more expensive. So I'm going to grab fuel somewhere here. Now here's another weird part of my rule. Really, it's twofold. My alternate is always in front of me. Let me say it again. My alternate is always in front of me. Let's look on the iPad together. You see, if I put my alternate here, and I got a little Tersa action here with a Delta in the middle Georgia, which looks like a good potential. You see, if I put my alternate like beyond PDK, like up into Chattanooga or over into Athens or whatever, by the time I get to PDK, do you think the weather at Athens is going to be much different than the weather is going to be at PDK? It's probably not going to be a whole lot different. In fact, the good weather is probably behind me because I wouldn't have kept going if the weather was continuing to get worse. I would have diverted. So I kind of want to have a point like middle Georgia regional here, MCN. I got to look at this TFR, and I'll do that here in just a bit. I want to kind of look and say, hey, this is my alternate. This is my drop-off point. This is, if I get here and the weather's been slowly getting worse, I'm just going to make the assumption it's not going to get any better by the time I get to PDK. I never have to be anywhere in aviation. And in this case, I'm literally just doing this flight for the sake of the video. I literally don't have anywhere to be. If I get stuck in middle Georgia, I'm bringing my computer and I'm stuck in middle Georgia. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out and wait out weather or whatever the issue may be. So what I'm going to do, in addition to that alternate, when I am picking a place to break up this 3-hour rule, I typically choose, and this is the same for alternates, I typically choose deltas and charlies. And that's where I might be losing some people. Going, Jason, that's ridiculous. Go where the fuel's cheapest, go here. And I just say typically deltas and charlies. What I really mean is I'm going places where there's civilization. There are a lot of amazing pilot-controlled airports around civilization. So Deltas and Charlies is not always a hard and fast rule. I know some Deltas that are in the middle of nowhere too, though, okay? Typically, though, 80% of the time, Deltas and Charlies are around civilization, have an FBO that has a crew car, in a town that has Uber service or Uber Eats or whatever, has hotels, those sort of things. So I'm gonna go to a place like Middle Georgia Regional, a little delta outside of Macon, before I'm going to divert to, no offense to, Montezuma, the town of Montezuma over here, but I'm less likely. This airport is called Savage, though. That sounds pretty like a cool place to go. I mean, maybe I'll check it out. They don't have fuel, though. But Montezuma, Georgia, I don't know if they have Uber service in Montezuma, Georgia. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go somewhere where there's some civilization. So I'm going to drag my route, and yes, I'm going to stop at MCN, and I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm going to put MCN in there. What did that actually do to my route? 3 hours, 37 minutes. Well, I lost a little headwind, it says. It's just pulling up real-time weather. And we'll calculate this with real-time weather, and then we'll also talk about doing it again tomorrow, so we're all on the same page with that. It's not going to add a lot of time. It's just the time for the line guys or for you to use self-serve, whatever it is, with that. So I think I'll let the weather decide, but if I had my way, I would let this long leg be my VFR leg and then go IFR into PDK just to make life a little bit easier. I still need to research this TFR that's coming up. That's going to be the 28th. I'm flying, today's the 26th, so I'm flying tomorrow the 27th. That shouldn't be an issue. Still going to get a briefing and everything else and work through it just so we're all good with that. I'm also still going to have some visual checkpoints as I go on through, just like we did back in the Navlog days. I'm still going to plan all of those out so we have them. And I also have to be willing to flex, because guess what? Who here, again, type in the chat, who has ever planned the most gorgeous, amazing cross country? VFR, IFR, doesn't matter. And weather changed it for you. Or even better, I get to the hold short line and hey, Tutti Mike Zulu, have an amendment to your routing. Thanks, I just programmed the entire Avidyne. I have the full route, all clearance, all in there, and you want to change it now. Great, well, I'm gonna be a second, so let me pull over here as I update everything. Thankfully, the Avidyne's super easy to do that on, but we've been there. Let me know in the chat if you've ever been there before. I'm telling you, if you haven't, you will. It just happens. So I can sit at my kitchen island and plan the most amazing flight ever all I want, yet if ATC changes it or weather dictates this, I have to be willing to adapt. So I have a good idea of my route I'm going to fly. Now there's something else I want to add to this, and I'm going to do a quick little weather brief. And just to get the most information, I'll do a weather briefing for now. And of course, I'll do another one the day of, just so we can kind of see it here. Back to the diversion, or the alternate, we'll call it, with the Deltas and Charlies. And again, pilot-controlled, uncontrolled airports in there as well. Just civilization is what you're after. Can you call these FBOs? Yes, I realize that on the sectional chart, if I zoom in, I see these cool little tabs, which means Macon has, or Middle Georgia Regional, has fuel. Well, this chart comes out every 6 months. Do you think they're going to update it if they run out of fuel? No, I'm going to call. Hey, do you have crew cars? Hey, is there Uber in town, by the way? These are the questions I ask. Do you have fuel? Is it full service? Is it self-serve? Oh, it's self-serve only. Where on the field is the self-serve located? Because I've been that guy taxiing around going, I have no clue where the self-serve is. And I'm looking all around for it, and people are staring at me wondering, why is he taxiing everywhere? It just happens. So find out where these things are, and that's some research you can be doing. At a place, and they may have multiple FBOs there. I've been to Peachtree a bunch. I know Peachtree has 3 FBOs I can think of. So I need to start mapping out, who do I want to give my business to? What does the taxi look like from what runway they're going to be using, and planning all that out. So let's plan this all out. Let's actually just kind of run this as a scenario. I'm not going to put a whole lot else in. Tutti Mike Zulu, I know it says 7,000 feet. Don't worry about altitude. Don't worry about time. I'm just going to put it in like we're going now, basically, just to look at it and see. But you could update everything if you wanted to say, hey, I'm going. And I guess we can just do that. Let's do tomorrow. let's say tomorrow, leaving at like 11. Let's see, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. I think it's in there kind of late, but we'll see. We'll see how that works. All right, let's leave then. Let's go ahead. What I'm going to do is there's a little send to button next to the star, to the right of the star. I realize I can't show you things well on the iPad, but you can see that. I'm going to click that. I'm going to hit send to flights. I'm going to hit send to flights. I magically got a tailwind somehow right now. All right, I've got that. You see the little, almost upper middle part of your screen, there's the little green cloud. I want you to click that little green cloud, and I want you to hit briefing here. And we're going to go ahead and retrieve this briefing. Now, this may take a second based on my internet here and how, oh, it's moving faster than I thought. Let's work through this briefing here together. And then we'll get back to some route. I realize this is going to be a longer video than we typically produce. Those of you obviously want to see this are watching the whole thing. So you're pursuing mastery. Thank you. You know, most people just watch 2 minutes and tune out. You are pursuing mastery. So I'm on your time and keep cranking here. First things first, I have a TFR. What's my TFR for? Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I don't know what team that is that plays there. Oh, Falcons and Bears. They even tell you right there. Also at Truist Park. So I've got 2 TFRs. Obviously, Atlanta being a sports town. I've got my 2 TFRs on the 27th when I am there that I need to be mindful of. All the more reason I kind of want to go IFR in there just to be safe. Okay, so I can see all that there. Towards the bottom left of my screen, see where it says next and synopsis? That is where I'm clicking. And I get to see my surface analysis chart. So this is showing me my surface analysis chart, but look at the date on this. Just keep in mind, this is valid the 26th, which is today at 1500 Zulu. It's giving me a surface analysis basically from now. This isn't necessarily when I will be flying. So do keep that in mind. Although it looks like it'd be decent. A little bit of junk to pick around there, but nothing life or death. Nice, that same high pressure, looks solid now, but let's continue. Metars. Okay, I gotta be honest with you. My flights tomorrow, are Metars doing me a whole lot of good right now? No, but the day of when I do this again, they're gonna help a lot. Why is a Metar not doing me a whole lot of good? Well, it's a routine surface observation that comes out 55 minutes past the hour. I'm leaving in 24 hours. It's less than that now, as of this recording. So it's cool, these are helpful, it's not doing me a ton of favors. Here's what I wanna do, and I need a pen, and I need a piece of paper. What I wanna do is I wanna write down altimeter settings is what I wanna do with this. So I'm looking at the meter, you know what, why am I doing that? I can take a screenshot, that's all I'll do there. Let me take a screenshot of this, so I have that, so I have it saved. I can figure out, there we go, there's my volume knob. I have my iPad backwards. I'm gonna take a screenshot of everything. Oops, there we go. So I have that and I got my passcode again. Take a screenshot of everything so I can see and note, okay, the altimeter settings. We got that. That looks good. I've got that all set in there. Let me make sure I got that. There we go. Whoops. Okay. I've got my altimeter settings and everything else. That's where I want to look and that's where I want to focus. 290907, 3001. 290906. I want to look, this sounds so ridiculous, but hear me out on this. I want to watch the altimeter settings. Team, what is low pressure? Low pressure is bad weather, usually, 98% of the time. What is a hurricane? A hurricane's a low pressure system. So although they're giving me METARs now, and most people go, this doesn't help me, next. I'm going to watch this. So let's average this out, like 29er. Does that sound fair? If we average out all the altimeter settings kind of along our way. And then when I check this again in the morning, I'm going to check and see, is pressure staying the same? Is pressure rising? Or did pressure drop from yesterday? And I have a good indication of where the weather is going. That's what I want to watch. PIREPs, same thing, not doing me a whole lot of good right now. Light turbulence. For this one thing I will say on PIREPs, and again, I'll check these in the morning so we have it, I like to look at the type of aircraft that's giving it. So something like this is one from a Cessna 182. That's a very, very helpful PIREP. As opposed to this one, a PC-12 Pilatus, I mean, it's helpful, it's not super helpful here. Let's look and just kind of see what he's going through. Oh, he's telling us the basis. Well, bases don't care what kind of airplane you are. But if the PC-12 is telling me, he's picking up light turbulence at, 20,000 feet, it just doesn't help me a lot. It might indicate instability down below as well, but who knows? Good to know, good to note, and keep an eye on. How about some cloud coverage here? Looking at my cloud coverage, let's zoom in. Wow, that you can see, remember where that rain was early on the surface analysis? Bring in some low ceilings there, layered all the way up to 42,000 feet, 23,000 feet, clear above, clear above, clear above. A few little clouds, but hopefully be in the IFR leg by that point. And if I was leaving now, I might need to make the first leg an IFR leg as well, it might sound like. So I can check that. Next, visibility, surface, winds, and precip. Again, it's kind of showing everything for me. Let's see the time on this. Now it's giving me, look at the top right, it's at least giving me a date on the 27th. We're getting a little bit closer here that we can see this. So this is helpful. This is still kind of showing at a surface level. I'm gonna be fighting a little bit of a crosswind. Again, this is just at a surface level. I need to watch the weather when I'm getting in towards the Atlanta area. Nothing too terribly crazy, nothing that's scaring me away just yet. Finally, some TAFs. Finally, some data and some things I can use. Let's look, not a lot of them, but let's see. Gainesville's a good one to look at. That's north of me here. I've got some marginal VFR, but that's early in the morning. That's not a problem. Showers in the vicinity. That's just Florida in the summertime. VLD is Valdosta. Winds variable at 3, greater than 6, scattered at 35. So I'm keeping that in mind for my VFR leg. Temporarily, from 800 to 1200, 4 statute miles missed and scattered at 4. Again, that's kind of morning time, so we'll just be watching for that. ABY is Albany. Let's look. Okay. Not giving much of a TAF. Warner Robins here. It's looking decent here. MCN, where I'm going, produces a TAF as well. Scatter at 2500. I might need to make this, I'm starting to think I might need to make this first leg IFR as well. I'll do my best to do it VFR, but we may get some good filming of how to do a pop-up IFR clearance. We'll see how that goes. We'll just let it play out and we'll see how that goes. Whoops, left the briefing there. All right, wind chart now, just so we can see everything for our route. So I can see where the wind's coming from for my altitude. So previously we were looking at it at a surface level. Now we can kind of see, I'm gonna start with a little bit of a tailwind, and as I get closer, it's gonna shift to more and more of a crosswind, as we can see. Not a lot. It's gonna be slightly quartering, so it's gonna help and push a little bit, not a whole lot. Vertical cross-section chart. This is really cool, and this is relatively new from ForeFlight and where they're pulling this from. So basically, this allows me to see my route of flight, see the winds through my climb on up and over, and obviously we don't have a lot of terrain, but whoops, you can see the terrain down below and how the terrain is rising as I head into PDK. Obviously a much higher elevation than where I'm leaving. And you can also see it kind of gives you the checkpoints here. It also will typically show you the turbulence, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of turbulence. It would literally color these quadrants in here. I've done an entire webinar on this for our ground school members, so they're more familiar with the vertical cross-section chart, but it is quite nice. Winds aloft table. I'm a visual guy. We saw the visual bit of this here. I like how it interpolates for us. If I want to read it and write that down, I can note that as well. So I've got that. All right, now into the fun stuff. Now into my NOTAMs. Again, I'm going to do all this again tomorrow. And I'm probably going to even call the briefer just to confirm one more time. All right, most of the Ocala stuff I know, but let me look just real quick as far as lights out, aerobatic area, familiar with. Edge markings, I know the construction there that's closed. Where are they closed from today? Alpha 10 to Alpha 11, that shouldn't be an issue for us. Yep, all the construction, missing signs, got it. Lights out there, any FDC? Yep, familiar with most of those. Looking good there. How about at my destination? These I'm not so familiar with here. All right, we know the tower is closed. I've been there when the tower is closed, and Atlanta helps you out. It's kind of a weird but cool thing. Obstructions out. All right, got that. No airspace issues here. Runway and lights out. VASI, PAPIs, just some unusability there. Looks good. Oh, this is important. Taxiway Charlie between runway 3 left and 2 on right, closed. So what I'll literally do is I'll go on my taxiway diagram for Peachtree and I'll mark that out just so I know. I'm sure it's well marked on the ground, but as I'm planning my taxi to to EPS or whatever FBO I'm going to use there, I want to make sure that all is good. All right. Good. And just some RNAV issues. Cool for circling. Not that big of a deal. Great. En route navigation NOTAMs. Taylor VOR out of service. Important to know. All right. TMA. NDB's out of service. That doesn't do me a whole lot of good. TACAN's out of service. That doesn't do a whole lot of good for me with that. En route communications. What I'm really looking for here is any service issues, GPS issues with that. And this is all my automated weather out of service. This is my issue we were looking at earlier, special use airspace, what's gonna be hot, what's not. And we've got that. All right, almost done. I realize NOTAMs are not incredibly fun, but they have to be reviewed. They have to be looked at here. Takeoff minimums were good on all of those. Okay, en route other NOTAMs. Anything else I'm missing? Obstacles, unlit towers at every other airport along the way, pretty much here. And then the ATC NOTAMs, Class D service. Just looking for make sure there's no GPS outages or anything like that. And that is pretty thorough. Myrtle Beach, no, see they give me kind of everything here. Looks super. I don't see, GPS is the big thing I'm looking to make sure it doesn't jump out at me there. That's just jet routes and everything else. And then from there, it is just back around to the beginning. I realize that's a lot. And I'm gonna do it again tomorrow, no doubt. Because I just need to get the most current weather and know. And what I'm really gonna do is when I'm heading into PDK, I'm gonna take a note tomorrow and I'm gonna figure out, hey, what are they using at PDK? What are the winds? What's happening there? And if I was doing that now, let me just show you in case I don't show it in the video for you. You know, what's the weather really like at PDK? Okay, it's calm. That doesn't help me a whole lot to give an example, but I would look and see what the winds were doing here. I would select my approach. And you know what? I am going to go ahead and I'm going to shoot the RNAV GPS Yankee for 2-1 left, let's say. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get that all overlaid. And when I'm filing actually IFR, I'm going to drag myself to an initial fix like a logic here. And I'm actually drag it to logic and use logic. I could also do the same thing in my flight plan. I can come over here and use the procedures as well into PDK, and I could show that there. It'll vector me all up for logic, and I have that all set up as there. I could also just do vectors to final and add that to my route to make it way easier, as you can see there. I've got logic in there twice, so I need to take that out, but I could do that way. And I would literally file it this way. That way, if I have a lost comm procedure going in IFR, they know exactly where I am going. And I'm already thinking ahead of the airplane. I'm already assuming how they're going to bring me in. Hey, by the way, you want to look at something else? We're probably going to get an arrival into PDK. Every time I've been into Atlanta, I get some sort of arrival. So let's look and see what kind of arrival might I get. They got one coming right off of MCN. It's WRGNZ, so that could be the arrival I'm coming into. How would I take it out of here? Right off of Noki, it looks like. So I'd come over and I would select Noki, and I could add that to my route. And it kind of calculates it all for me. So I've got Noki then going in with my route there, kind of all planned. So you can see that, just preparing as I'm coming in. The name of the game, team, is thinking as far ahead of the airplane as you can. And I've been doing this for days. 6 days ago, it started just on like weather.com, just looking at stuff. What are the precipitation chances? As I get closer, watching the prog charts every single day around the time I want to be flying, seeing what they're doing. Where are the highs? Where are the lows? Where are the fronts situated themselves? What does this actually look like? And that's how I decided between, do I want to go north or do I want to go south? Originally, I was going south, but the weather's just not playing so nice. So we're going north for this flight, but you have to be flexible in aviation. You never have to be anywhere in aviation. You know what hurts people? You know what gets people killed in aviation? Is non-refundable hotels and rental cars. Because you feel like you have to be there. On a flight like this, I haven't booked a hotel yet. I haven't booked a car yet. Because what I'm going to do when I land is I'm going to land and I'm going to hop on like a hotel tonight kind of app and I'm going to book a hotel wherever I end up. And I need a car, I'll hop on Uber. Or maybe the FBO is feeling friendly and I get to use the crew car. Like that's what we're going to do. When you try to plan out every single stop and everywhere you're going to go, you're going to be disappointed because weather and ATC for that matter, and you dictate where you ultimately go, because you may get to MCN and go, I just don't feel so hot. I'm just staying here. Or the weather doesn't look so hot. We have to get in the business of making smart decisions. Team, I realize this was a very long video and I could have done an hour more if we needed to, but I want to just kind of let you chew on that idea. Next week, and I can't wait to read all your comments. Next week, I'm going to be showing you the actual flight process, kind of what tomorrow looks like. I'll show a little bit more of the flight planning, but then tomorrow I really want to show you the actual flight, and we're just going to show it how it comes, right? ATC gives us a weird vector, whatever it is. It won't be the whole 4-hour flight. We'll chop it up to the exciting parts, and hopefully there aren't too many exciting parts, but we'll just see how that all works out. So I can't wait to read your comments below. Do make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, like us, follow us here on Facebook as well, so you don't miss a single part of this flight plan series, because I want to see you next week. If you're watching this late, maybe next week is already posted. I'll make sure the team links in the description as well. You can just look at our videos in chronological order and find it that way if it's not there. So you can see the flight planning series. But team, thank you so much for all that you do. Can't wait to read your comments below this video on YouTube, on Facebook. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And most importantly, remember that a good pilot is always learning. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you.